Baldwin, I think, is next, and then followed by Senator Markey, and then Senator Hickenlooper. That is on our side, back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair Rosenworcel, I am excited about the progress that is being made on the 988 line. This is a three-digit code for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and I was proud to have been a lead author of that legislation. Beyond making access to resources easier for people in crisis and for everyone, one of my chief goals was to ensure that populations that were disproportionately facing high rates of suicide could have access to the specialized services that they need. In the bill itself, we talked about the veterans community. We talked about the LGBTQ youth community in particular. I know I've also worked on suicide prevention for farmers as they face disastrous conditions. Under the law, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline must be ready to begin accepting 988 calls on July 16th, 2022, and that deadline is fast approaching. So given the importance of this change and of focusing on servicing and serving populations with the greatest need, I'd like to hear you give us an update on how the Commission will continue to engage government stakeholders as well as nonprofits and mental health specialists on the 988 rollout. And we had a great conversation about this. I hope you'll talk a little bit about essential technologies, especially for youth, the text-to-chat and integrated voice responses.
Senator, thank you for the question. Thank you, more importantly, for your work on this. We do have a suicide crisis in this country. The rates for teen girls are 3 times higher than they've been over the last 20 years. It's true for young people of color, LGBTQ youth, and our veterans and more first responders die annually by suicide than in the line of work. We can do better by them, and we should. We have long-standing had a toll-free number for them to call, but moving it to a 3-digit code is a way to make it more accessible to more people. I'm especially proud that this week the FCC will vote on making it texting accessible. I think for young people in particular, that's their native language. It's not picking up the phone and talking. And so we will continue to work with the VA and DHS to make sure that they have the resources needed to answer those calls, however they come in. And I think we're going to have to continue to discuss with them how we make sure that people get the specialized care they might need in that moment of need.
Thank you. I am as excited as my colleagues about the new major federal resources that will be targeted for broadband, universal broadband, high-speed access for all. But I know you agree that it won't be a success if we don't have better maps. I was proud to be a co-sponsor of the Broadband Data Act, and I was pleased to see the FCC announce a new wireless service map using the Act's standards. And I understand the Commission was recently awarded, has recently awarded an important contract. You've talked about that earlier already today for a better map for wired broadband. But I'm anxious to see more progress quickly. First, when can we expect to see additional maps come online? And how will you continue to push the Commission towards that goal if confirmed as permanent rather than acting chairman? And then second, along these lines, I'm particularly interested in the FCC using the new methods to verify the existence of broadband service, including using federal fleet vehicles like Postal Service vehicles, National Park Service vehicles, National Forest, that sort of thing where we're able to get more data. So give me an update on those.
Sure, absolutely. Look, the best time to make better broadband maps would have been 5 years ago. The second best time is right now. So we are working morning, noon, and night to do that. We are working through a federal acquisition process to get the broadband serviceable location fabric, which is like the ground floor for building our wireless maps. I'm hopeful we can work through that fast. But in the meantime, we're trying to come up with ways where we can build these maps really outside of Washington. And by that, I mean we're coming up with a methodology so that states, municipalities, and tribes can challenge any data that they see that carriers have filed with us. We're also trying to update our speed test app. So if you go and test your phone, you'll actually be able to send us the data about what's happening in your own backyard. We're also setting up webinars with tribal communities to make sure that we can get them involved in this mapping process. In the end, I believe the best maps are not going to just be built by us in Washington. They're going to be built by all of us using creative technologies. And we've done some exploration of using postal trucks in rural areas just like you described. It turns out it's more costly to use than we had anticipated, and there are some power challenges, but it might be a tool that we use in some rural areas to help us get really accurate data.
Thank you.
Thank you.